Who is America? Final episode. The series that makes Nadia squirm and feel awful comes to a conclusion.
Yay!
Why do you hate it so much?
I'm so glad.
I mean, you hate
because
it.
there are moments of it that I like. I liked the first 2 episodes, and then it just became so unbelievable to me. And I thought he's just got such, like, Neanderthals that even the fascists that I can't stand, I started to feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's unfair, the balance is an extremely,
You know, we're being dismissed as naysaying liberals because we can't see the point of it. A lot of people are saying we're not getting it.
No, I am. I get it. I get
it.
what he's doing, and I think some of it, he hits the mark perfectly, and he shows up despicable people for what they are. But sometimes I'm just uncomfortable with the level of his intellect and the person that he is deriding. And I mean, we'll get through it go bit by bit. But towards the end, I was really offended.
Offended?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was very, very upset with something that he did in this one, but I'll tell you that at the end.
Well, we started with the his classic, Trump guy in a, what are they called, those driving mobility scooter. And I like his indignancy. Some of these characters I could see him developing into a movie, like Borat or Bruno or Ali G and all that kind of stuff. But and in a weird way, when I think he works best is when he's slightly more embedded with the subject, and the subject, a sort of a bit of humanity of the subject is also drawn out as well as him taking the piss. But anyway, yeah. So the first one was I guess he's a former Democrat. We don't know him, Barney Frank, but he campaigned for Hillary Clinton, and Sacha Baron Cohen implied that the tape of Trump's awful commentary about women was basically edited in a fake news mashup from actually him giving whoever it was he was talking to advice on how to deal with an infestation of mice.
Now
the
obviously
idea
that's
is
trying
very
to
funny.
show that when people, extreme like fans who just want to believe absolutely everything is fake news, I get that.
It.
But for me, again, he went a bit too far. He should have made it more believable, because the guy he was interviewing was like, what? Yeah. You're just a maniac.
So I want to know, for all those people who have come on other of our sort of reviews and said, but you don't get it. It's not just It's not just about successfully hooking the person. It's about what he's saying. It kind of is. I get. Of course, we understand that. We're not morons, but at the same time, it is kind of about hooking the person in front of you and trying to change their opinion because of the ridiculousness of what you're saying.
Exactly.
It's not just an echo chamber for Sacha Baron Cohen to sit there just being clever with what he says. It's got to strike. It's got to strike.
And when it strikes, I enjoy it, and I also know it's not a rip-roaring comedy for those people that think I like.
It's deeply satirical.
When he has hit it so brilliantly.
Yeah.
And I mean, the group that he got doing the dressing up as the women and doing the Mexican party.
That was hysterical.
I mean, that was sheer genius.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been moments of absolute genius.
But that's my point.
But I think there's been points of laziness through the series as well, where he's just rested on his laurels, dragged out the same character in very much the same way. He's a brilliant guy, don't get me wrong, and his improvisational skills are second to none.
But this will have to be his swan song, because this has signed his ticket either out of the States or certainly out of being able to do this kind of prank. Because,
do you know what I'd get him to do now?
Because everyone will be on red alert.
Do you know what I'd get him to do now?
What?
Pare himself completely down and be him and interview these same people, not these same kind of people.
All right. I'm curious, because I've been sort of teasing all the way through this, the fact that he was going to interview, what's the name of the National Rifles Association woman who ran for vice president?
Oh no, you've been going on and on about her.
Forgotten her
name.
name.
God, how can we have forgotten her name? Sarah
Palin. Where was she? So I reckon she was due to appear. I reckon her lawyers must have had a very successful block on this.
Or maybe it was just a bit of PR put around to keep people waiting.
I mean, I'm assuming...
Because I was like, what? She's going to be on soon. She's going to be on soon.
I am assuming this is the season finale. I mean, I'm assuming it is.
God, don't say there's another one.
Yeah. Anyway, so the next piece, which was kind of unusual for this series, he sat with the next setup for the rest of the show. We didn't
Because
miss
he
something,
couldn't
did we?
believe his luck. That's
Well, he couldn't believe his luck. So we've got, I love his line going into this, Nissan driving vegans. We need backup. So how will America how will you help? He says to these three men who are, would you say they're part of the alt-right?
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't quite get
But
what their
also-
formal qualifications were for being anti-left.
But completely ignorant, uneducated
totally
people
ignorant.
that were poor souls as well, I thought they were poor souls.
Yeah, he did ask the question, how will American be if we get rid of fascists? And he was very clever. He was flipping them back on themselves. So they were basically saying we need a fascist America.
Yeah.
How to become a liberal. I thought this was very funny, where he had these three men, all of them trying to remember which was the most important episode of Girls and what the plot lines were.
Was hilarious.
In order to convincingly be a liberal.
It was hilarious, and they were doing it like they were in a maths lesson, weren't they? It was
And I
very
thought
fun.
what I like about it when he goes there is it's not vicious or
Yeah.
compromising of the person themselves,
It's not
but
bullying.
it totally shows up their ignorance, stupidity, and their prejudice. So I thought that was really, really clever. He then got them to talk to each other about how to give men compliments. So then you're seeing these what essentially a redneck.
That was so clever.
That was clever because you had two essentially rednecky men.
Three.
Yeah, no, but there were the
Macho
two
men.
main ones sort of saying your chest looks great and your legs look really nice. And can I just say, they did it really well.
It was actually quite endearing.
They did it really
They were
well.
trying so hard.
I love your legs. I love your legs.
But then he brought out a dummy of Trump.
Well, hang on. Yeah, he had this one statistic which made me roar with laughter only because my mum's gay and I have been plugged into the lesbian world for quite a while, since the age of 7. But when Sacha Baron Cohen said, apparently studies show 37% of lesbians dress like Charlie Chaplin, you know, it's like with all these sarcastic things, there's sometimes an element of truth in that. I thought that was very funny. Anyway, so he got them to start saying, I hate penises. I hate penises. How to prove you aren't a Trump supporter. So what did they do? You're right. They got...
So then they each had a very bendy dildo that they then had to simulate a gang rape with Trump.
With a Trump
Against Trump.
mannequin.
With a Trump mannequin.
But
So they started off kind of like, here you are, come on, have a titty, fuck, and they're rubbing it all over his chest. Then it was, no, that's not good enough. You're not showing yourself enough. You're not showing yourself to be enough of a what is it, anti-fascist?
Yes.
Yeah. So then they bent the Trump mannequin
Whilst
over.
criticising his tax reform.
Yeah. And what's it called when you do that thing, when you go from either end?
I don't know. What is it, darling?
Spit roasted him. Spit roasted Trump.
Just hearing you say
It
that.
was very uncomfortable.
Sure it was for the mannequin.
Because I just didn't like the way they just got into that so easy.
Well, no,
and I
you-
said to
you
you,
did
do you
say-
think that they've raped somebody?
Oh, God, yeah, well, which we don't genuinely think.
No,
So-
we don't. But that's
no.
what it looked like.
Yeah.
It was just so
was horrendous. I mean,
come on. And he was like, but at the same time, I felt desperately sorry for them again because they weren't kind of comfortable. They were saying all this disgusting stuff that they've obviously seen in a porn film, but they were looking uncomfortable with it. And I just felt it was crossing a line, humanity, of the line of humanity. That's what I felt.
But I suppose the argument back would be that their values, beliefs, institutionally across America are making black people, gay people, any liberal-minded person also feel horrified and humiliated.
Exactly.
And, you know, so in a sense, I get it, you know,
But
of
do
course.
two wrongs make a right.
Do two wrongs make a right. But also, I mean, if the series' point is to... It's very hard in this day and age to make your jaw fall wide open with shock.
Oh, I didn't like it.
And I think that scene, alongside the other chap who was running around with his bum out, has done that. Anyway, so he, in a sort of mock kind of Britain's Got Talent sort of, you know, audition show, he decides
that's very clever.
which of these three is the one he wants to take with him. And you can see the other two are genuinely disappointed.
They don't even know, but their education is subnormal.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't know where they were or what the hell was going on.
No.
I felt that they were people that were disabled.
Yeah.
And that they were such a weak target.
Yeah. I think, but I do think asking how long do you have to cook quinoa is a way of finding out
That's
how liberal
clever.
you are. I don't know that answer. Do you?
Depends how much water you put
You're
in.
a true liberal. She's a true liberal. So he takes one of the best graduate of his class. He takes to San Francisco. I presume it looked like a pride march or something. And he dresses as a woman, and they walk around as a lesbian, and they walk around holding hands.
Which I thought was much cleverer.
I thought that was very funny.
That was really clever, and I thought that was again. What did he want me to have sympathy for these redneck fascist men? Because he
you got it.
I sympathise with these people.
I also found the
they're
redneck.
just a victim yourself. How have they been brought up? How have they been brainwashed to think like that?
As he's prepping him in the hotel room, one of the most awkward moments, and I think this is where Sacha Baron Cohen is so funny, and it reminded me of Ali G. He says some sort of stupid joke, and then he sits and laughs for awkwardly too long.
Oh, God.
And they cross-cut.
It was clever.
That is so clever. And because, of course, when one's in social situations, you think, God, I'm not going to say anything. You think, I wish I could just not say anything here. And he just does it. And the awkwardness, and the guy sitting on the bed opposite. In a weird way, that was my favourite moment, because it was so oh my God, it was so painful.
And then he, even the thickest man you have ever come across in your entire life, starts to go,
yeah.
There's something weird going on here.
But you're right.
Right at the end, he said to him, "Can I?"
No, not that. Well, I just wanted to say, but more pressing than just before we get to the end, as they're walking around, I felt really fond of the guy, because he looked really sweet in his little kind of old
That's
woman.
What I mean.
He had his old woman's. He had his hand on Sacha Baron Cohen's butt to convincingly look like a lesbian. He was saying ridiculous things about not wearing underwear to members of the gay pride march. Excuse me, it just nearly died.
Are you all right?
And then, this is the most shocking bit of all, really. Sacha Baron Cohen proceeds to suggest that these tags they're applying to people to track them are actually mini explosives. And he gives him this iPad and he presses it to detonate 2 or 3 people. And there is a moment where he says, "I've never partaken in someone's death. I feel a bit queasy." And they walk off.
Right.
I mean, that's quite shocking, and I'm amazed they've got away with that, because I'd have thought that was illegal, to pretend that he thinks he's killed someone.
Well, how much of the show is illegal? But, again, for me, it wasn't that far off of when you hear about, extreme Islamic groups. What's it called? What's his actual word for it? When they get them to... Radicalising people that have special, additional educational needs.
No.
And that to me was the same.
Yeah. But
he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know where he was. He'd probably never seen an iPad before. He wasn't intellectually up to even understanding that he just pressed something that had killed somebody.
But he did know.
And he didn't even know sure when he got back to the hotel. He couldn't even remember it.
But he did know that episode 3 of season 2 of Girls was really good. He did know the plot lines of that. Yeah. So remarkably, I think he thought he'd killed 3 people. Because they'd attached them to 3 people and detonated
I saw it as Sacha Baron Cohen, jokingly, obviously, radicalising somebody with extreme educational needs.
That's a very accurate description of what happened. And to what extent would we laugh at that if it was done vice versa? I tell you what it did make me think about. If a satirical show went the other way politically, how would we feel? How would it go down? How would it be seen as... Do you know what I mean? If you had someone like Sacha Baron... If you had an alt-right comedian... totally setting up, satirising and parking himself and embedding himself in left-wing liberal communities and, believers, what would our take on it be? Would we be up in arms because our natural bent is towards the left? That would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see if we'd find it so funny. But it all depends
on who your victims are. You see, when he chose the smarter people... I didn't feel as uncomfortable, but when he shows people that I didn't really feel knew at all what was going on, and I know that's to illustrate that we have madmen and maniacs and half-wits in power all across the world, and that's very dangerous, but I don't know.
In a weird way, do you know what I think he could have done? He should have taken the Israeli terrorist sort of, fighter. He could have made a film a bit like Borat or Bruno and gone across America. He could have travelled through. I think he would have ended up being shot, though. And then, so finally at the end, they're sitting on the bed in the hotel room reflecting on their progress, and Sacha Baron Cohen begins to try and sort of ask him to run away with him to Israel. And the guy says, it's a bit confusing to leave my family.
Yeah.
But
And then he goes, but could we kiss? And he says,
no.
no.
Yeah, so...
Finally stands up for himself.
Finally stands up for it. But then the
But I think his whole life, that guy has grown up in the most sort of fevered atmosphere with people that were bullying and fascistic. And to me, he came across as a bit of a poor soul.
Yeah, no,
that really, if you were in his company for a couple of hours, you could change his mind to anything.
Yeah, true. So the final scene, which kind of came mid-credits, and was quite a big get. O.J. Simpson.
This is what.
And this is where you were very uncomfortable. Anyway, so it's got O.J. Simpson sitting in what looks like a sort of a sting operation, doesn't it? The cameras look very undercover.
And he's obviously there under the ruse that he was either going to be earning potentially a lot of money from some Saudi prince, or was it?
Something like that.
You got that. Or he had in fact already been paid, because why would he have stayed with his butt on that seat with everything that Sacha Baron Cohen was saying?
Yeah, because he's the Italian photographer chap this time, and all he does is every single comment has some tangential reference to murdering your wife or stabbing. He's doing that all the way through it.
And
I mean,
he's
I couldn't
laughing,
believe it.
and OJ is laughing. Obviously, OJ...
Awkwardly.
OJ, well, not so much at the beginning. He got more awkward. Yeah. And, okay, that's great. We're showing up OJ to be what he is, and he's been shown up many, many times, and we all know what he is. But I was just thinking, if I was the family...
Oh, right, yeah.
How would I feel?
The family of the woman who died.
Yeah. Oh, my God, I can't think of her name now. I feel so bad. But how would I feel? They were sitting there making a joke out of it. Again, before anyone jumps it, I realise that it was to shine a spotlight on OJ and what he is, but not necessarily.
Well, you did say, as we turned over to romantically go to sleep, you said, we all know who he is.
We all know what he is.
I mean, I didn't find it... Again, I felt it missed its target a bit. I mean,
if you were the child of that woman that was brutally murdered,
I'd be horrified.
Or the mother, or the sister, or the uncle...
horrified.
It's not a place to make a joke.
Yeah, horrified. Yeah, no, I get that. But my jaw was wide open. I couldn't believe he was saying and doing and gesticulating in the way that he was with OJ. And therein finished the series. Therein breathed a sigh of relief, Nadia. And she did then enter a deep, sleepy, velvety world in which... Who is America would never rear its ugly head again. Anyway, I think there's been some great moments in it.
Try and pick on people your own size.
I think it's been great moments, but flawed at times, a bit repetitive, a bit samey. But when it's hit its target on the few occasions it really has been quite arresting. There you go. What's he going to do next?